Hello, me dearios and Carly Wobbles. I just thought I'd let you join me with my terrible hair and my really not got up properly this morning type phase. I'm just sorting out a bit of breakfast, which, as some of you may know, us people that are trying to have the more healthy vegan diet, we don't eat breakfast because nothing exists that isn't meat. Or at least that's the viewpoint of some individuals who like to think that if there's no meat, there's no food. Because they're weird. So I'm not having anything too special, but I thought I'd key you in because, one of the things a lot of people like to say is, well, what do you eat? like nothing else exists. I can't have breakfast unless there's pig and sheep and cow. Weird people. Anyway, so today I've got the good old baked beans on the go. Lovely baked beans. Now, baked beans. These are a great thing. They were discovered back in 1847. No, they weren't. I don't really know when they were discovered. But they are a vegetable, and they come in a lovely tomato-based sauce. If I had the time, effort, energy, and could be bothered, I'd read you the info off the back. Haricot beans, water, tomato puree, modified starch, salt, onion, blah de blah de blah. Basically, no animals were touched in the production of these baked beans, which I have got set a little bit high. So I'm just going to turn those down a bit before they melt my face. So that's my beans. In the back pan I have another pan which I've got a wooden spoon handy for. I have a nice frying pan, and in my frying pan I have lots and lots of bits of garlic, and I have some olive oil. I recently saw a video once which suggests it's not the best oil sometimes, especially when you get quite processed stuff. The amount of anti-pest stuff they put on it, pesticides and antifungal stuff and all that kind of stuff, all adds up to create quite a toxic mix apparently. So I'm trying to reduce my levels of processed olive oil use because I don't really want more toxins shoved into my body. I'm just swapping rings around so that I don't have the beans on the highest thing, and I'm going to put that on the front. I'm going to turn that one off. Bear with me one moment. This is a game called Laurie Has to Think What He's Doing. Right, so the beans can go on that because that's the lower ring. And this one, with me garlic in it, can go on this one, and that can go up. So my garlic, what I've got is, like I say, I've got there's 2 or 3 cloves of garlic which I've crushed down with some salt. I've also added in one of my favourite little ingredients which I can't actually see. Is that it? There it is. This just helps add extra garlic flavour. Good old garlic granules. I'm quite keen on garlic. I know some people really aren't, but garlic is a fantastic thing. So there's garlic cloves, garlic granules, and oil, and we're just sort of browning ourselves off there, look, starting to bubble and sizzle a bit in the pan there. And that forms the very base of what I'm going to do with some mushrooms. Now garlic, as you know, comes from a plant. That makes it vegan, which is very important when you're trying to cook something without any animals. Mushrooms. Now I've got some standard mushrooms that came in a big fat container like that. I've given them a quick rinse and I've chopped them up. I don't overly work hard to wash them off because they're going in a hot pan. They're going to be thoroughly cooked. There's nothing going to be surviving that I could eat and cause myself a problem with. But I will say, for anyone that's cooking mushrooms, obviously, you know, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you wash the things, make sure everything's clean. You don't want to go poisoning yourself, and don't mess about getting stuff out your garden or from some hedge or from your mate's little cave at the back of his house. Go to a shop, buy one of these full of mushrooms. You know, get stuff that you know is edible. There are lots of different types of mushrooms. Some of them really aren't edible and they're horrible and they're disgusting and they'll cause you incredible pain and incredible discomfort. Get proper mushrooms. So, mushrooms in with the garlic and the olive oil. And I'm just going to mix that in slightly to start with, sort of infuse that garlic and those lovely bits of oil into those mushrooms. But then I'm going to stick on and lid over the top. The reason I'm doing that is because as that cooks, I want all of those lovely steamy juicy bits to be caught in there and to drip back in and keep all that flavour exactly where it is. Because garlic mushrooms, under anyone's concept of what's nice or what's good or whatever you want to term it, are fantastic. So far I have got garlic mushrooms, I have got the baked beans. So far so good, all plants, nothing animalistic, nothing disturbing. Now I've got some toast, well technically I've got some bread sat in the toaster ready to go. That will be plunged down in a moment. But I'm going to add one more ingredient to this, or one more item, which is going to go in with my garlic mushrooms, and it's going to be gorgeous. One moment. Talk amongst yourselves, talk with your friends, act like you're happy, and then you've got a clue what is going on. So, I couldn't count, so I got 2 extra items. Also, lovely sound of that sizzling away there. The mushrooms are doing a good job of soaking up some of the fluids here. I just want to keep them moving slightly. I don't want things getting stuck or burnt, but that's doing what it does rather nicely there. So, next bit that I'm going to add in, and for this I'm just going to very slightly hike the temperature up on the mushrooms because I want this nice and warm, and I'm going to show you a little trick. This is a little trick that all chefs and cooks will be screaming at me, don't do that, do not do that, it's wrong, don't do it. Do it. But don't do it. But do it. Take and kettle with some milliliters of water in it. Put and kettle on. Now this is quite important that you follow this because it's important that water is hot. Next bit, get yourself something you can put items in. I'm going to be using this. The reason being, I'm going to defrost some items, and I want to defrost those items rather quickly. Because me being me, I'm a complete and total ninny, and I forgot to get them out the freezer. So, one thing I'm going to have. Someone recently talked to me about how, and actually I'm not going to have this, it's too much work to get it out of the packet, I'm going to have the other bits. But I'm going to mention these anyway. Someone told me, you know, they tried veganism once, many years ago. They tasted a bit of vegan bacon. They were so disgusted that they could never ever turn to it again. There are millions of different types of bacon out there. Millions of different types of vegan bacon. Personally, and I'm actually quite upset we haven't got any at the moment because it's gorgeous, I make a lovely seitan bacon. That's seitan. Not Satan, not satin cloth stuff, seitan. And I make a really nice bacon out of that. But here's my favourite from the shops at the moment. Pre-done vegan bacon. It's gorgeous. Obviously other shops do exist and other brands of bacon do exist, or other brands of vegan bacon do exist. This is my personal, I haven't been paid, I'm not, you know, receiving anything for bigging up any particular shopping brand or anything, but that's the one that I would use, but I'm not going to use that one today. I'm going to pop that back in the freezer. Ouch! And instead, I'm going to carry on and do these. Once again, it's another product that I'm told doesn't exist according to some non-vegans. I've been told that this stuff, I can't find the knife I usually use to open these things. I've been told that these things, hello knife, do not exist. You can't have a vegan option of this. So obviously, these, which are very frozen at the moment, I'm just going to more astute of you may have figured out if I was going to have bacon, I might have been adding one of these as well. Now this is a great invention. It's called a sausage. Now I've got one, I've got two, I've got three vegan sausages. The ones I'm particularly using are from this group. Again, there are a number of others. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. These happen to be the ones we've got in the freezer at the moment. They are quite nice. They're certainly not my favourite, but they're certainly not bad either. I do really like these. And, of course, huge positive, they are vegan. So, there are my sausages. The sausages are in the thingy, and we're going to take the kettle, which we're not going to use, are we, children? No, we don't use the kettle. Yes, we do use the kettle. No, we don't. Gordon Ramsay is just about to wet himself and start phoning the police because I'm using kettle water to begin the process of thawing my sausages. The reason being, I want them to thaw out reasonably quickly. They are going to go straight into the pan with me mushrooms, so they're not going to be sat out and going funny or anything. And to be fair, let me give you a little tip. If it's vegan, right, vegan, it's mostly made out of vegetables. Now, vegetables don't tend to go rancid and disgusting quite as quickly as what your meats do. You get yourself a carrot and get yourself a meat sausage. Don't get a meat sausage. I'm not advocating that. Please don't buy them. If your mum or your auntie happens to have one in a freezer, get one from there. One that you haven't paid money for yourself, whatever. But get the carrot and get the meat sausage, put them side by side in the sun, leave them alone for a day. When you go back, you'll find that the carrot may look a bit fusty, may look a bit odd, but it will still be pretty much a carrot, and it will still be pretty much edible. Your sausage will not be. Your sausage will be a stinky pile of sweaty, gloopy, meaty disgustingness. It's not nice. So as you can imagine, I've been chatting away about sausages and things. My sausages, my vegetable sausages here, are just slowly thawing themselves out a little bit. I'm not too worried about them getting fully thawed because the cooking process will help carry on the inside. What this will do is it means in the hot water they're fully heated rather than just heating up along one edge and burning like they might do on a pan, in a pan, or on a grill, or whatever you want to term it. So this will help them just thaw out properly on the outside. Then I'm going to whack them into the pan. We're going to give them a good 5-10 minutes of browning off in the pan, at which point effectively my breakfast will be ready. I will have my garlic mushrooms with my sausages and my baked beans and some toast. What more can I ask for? Oh, and by the way, my toast will be buttered with Flora, and the reason we go for Flora is obviously because it is a vegan option. It's a vegan butter. The other thing I love about Flora, most of their products, I haven't checked all of them, maybe I should do one day, most of their products are palm oil free. Now, palm oil, as some of you know, for those that don't, is one of the products that's causing problems all over the globe. The reason being, they basically turned it into a monoculture. You've got huge reams of rainforests that have been hacked to pieces, destroyed, and you've got county-sized blocks that was a rainforest full of biodiversity, lots of different animals, lots of different bugs, birds, different food types for different things. Everything thrived with each other. It's a food network, you know. People often say food chain. I don't agree with food chain because everything in the food chain is interlinked all over the place. More like a food spider web. Well, monoculture takes away the basic plant life food that's needed for so many of the lower level parts of that food web. And what that means is nothing survives. You end up with a huge amount of trees that do nothing, feed nothing, and no biodiversity, which means it's not sustainable. The plants even don't make enough to properly allow themselves to get connected with their own reproductive insects. As you know, like flowers in your garden, a bee will come along and sniff around in this one and sniff around in that one, and in the process it's swapped around pollen and mixed things up, and it helps procreate the flowers. Well, obviously trees need the same thing to a level. They need the insects, they need the little animals, they need the little things that help them move stuff around to make new trees. In a monoculture, because everything needs a bit more than one thing to survive. Can you imagine if I came up to you and said, here is an bean. It's actually part of the stock of beans we've got soaking away, getting ready to turn into a meal at some point. But if I was to come up to you and say, here is this type of bean, this is the only food you will eat for the rest of your life, you're not going to survive. You need so much more nutrients than just that bean. Same with animals. Even panda bears that are well known for only eating bamboo, they're going to need other stuff. They need other nutrients. You can't just survive on that one thing. So, palm oil destroys rainforest and then destroys ecosystem and then makes it so that, you know, even if mankind died out tomorrow morning, it's going to take hundreds and hundreds of years before that monoculture area for palm oil turns back into a proper forest and has proper animals in it again. So that's just one of the things that us vegans like to look out for. We get a lot of stick, for example, about things like figs. Figs, as some of you may be aware, they have a funny connection with bees and, you know, the way that the trees are procreated. And personally, I try and avoid it a bit. It's a conversation I don't go into much, largely because I generally don't eat figs. I don't see the point in them. They're not particularly tasty to me. I might have one a year if I happen to see them on offer somewhere. But yeah, they're not part of my general diet. They don't interest me. I do feel sorry for the bees that are used in the production of them, but it's hard for me. Obviously, if it's monocultured and everything, I'm quite disgusted with that anyway. But yeah, it's not a fruit that I'm particularly interested in. But yeah, I personally, it doesn't bother me. I don't particularly want them. Don't care. Obviously, I do care about bees. One thing I would say with bees, so I'm just checking my sausages. They're nice and soft all the way through now, so I'm transferring them to my pan with my mushrooms. And again, I'm going to stick the lid back on there, just to help keep that temperature in. So with bees, obviously, I don't like the link that they have with the fig trade. But the biggest thing we get wrong with bees, I'm sorry, it's not the fig trade. It's everybody eating honey. And I'm ashamed to say there is honey in this house. I am vegan. My family aren't vegan. They're general vegetarians. And with my children, I have a thing of, if you want to eat what you want to eat, you do it your way. I give all the advice we can, and we try and teach them as best we can what's good, what's not good, what's fair, what's not fair, and we let them make their own choices. If I try and dictate, I'm not helping them learn. My youngest is very, very much wants to be a vegan, but she's slowly learning how that's done. My oldest doesn't care so much. So there's a few products like honey that we do allow her to have. Now, at the moment, and again I feel terrible for this, At the moment, this is only because it came from a friend rather than the shop. We got given this, and it's cheap rubbish honey, but it does the job of feeding my daughter, who loves honey. Now, if you think how many teaspoons of honey are in that, how many teaspoons are there? Keep that in your mind. How many teaspoons of honey go to make up one jar? Now bear in mind that each bumblebee, and it's not actually bumblebees that make honey, just to correct on that. Bumblebees are the big chunky furry things that look cool. It's another species of bees, slightly smaller, less fluffy, that actually make honey. One of those bees makes 1 teaspoon of honey over its entire life. 1 bee, 1 teaspoon of honey. How many teaspoons of honey go into a jar? Next time you go to Asda, Morrison's, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Lidl, wherever you're going, Aldi, wherever you happen to be going, whatever shop, have a look down the honey aisle, or the aisle with the honey on it. Have a good look. Try and count how many jars there are. Try and figure out how many teaspoons of honey are in that shop. Now let me tell you why this is significant. All the work that bee did to make that 1 teaspoon of honey, along with all its friends who also did all that work to make their teaspoons of honey, have all got into your jar that you buy and you take home and you put it on your toast or in your sandwiches or in your tea or whatever you're going to do with it. And don't get me wrong, I may be a vegan, but I can remember, I used to like the taste of honey. And personally, I used to like drizzling honey on my sausages. It makes your sausages quite a nice treat. Anyway, so how many bees made that honey? Now, if you think all those bees live in a beehive, what farmers have done is they've created a way of keeping a beehive, and then at some point they'll go to their beehive and they'll take a big bit of the beehive away, and they'll take all the honey that was on that beehive, all that honey that was on that bee honeycomb, and they take that away and they give the empty honeycomb back to the beehive. Now, when bees make the honey, they've got a mix of different plant-based stuff which they've kind of taken from the flowers, and that honey is full of pesticide, not fake stuff that's made by humans and toxic, but natural, pest defense stuff. It's full of antifungal stuff, it's full of antibiotics, it's full of so much good stuff that's crucial for the health and the well-being of those bees. And you've only got to look at some of the more famous, expensive brands of honey and the taglines that go with their advertising to understand how good this stuff is. It helps with antihistamine stuff and all sorts. It keeps the hive itself clean, it keeps the health of the bees good, and crucially it is incredibly high in that sugar energy content that the bees need to get them through the winter. So our farmer has taken all that honey away from the hive, and he's going to feed the hive through the winter on sugar water. How antifungal is sugar water? How antibiotic is sugar water? How much is this stuff really going to help the bees survive the winter? It doesn't. It doesn't. So, yeah, fig trees are horrible things, and there's a lot wrong with them. not a fruit that I particularly or have any much involvement with, so I try and avoid it anyway. But the big evil in terms of bees, what we're doing to them, nicking their honey, expecting them to live on rubbish. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm here sort of still slowly cooking my breakfast. You've been following me now for half an hour or so. And yeah, I was just trying to kind of throw a bit of light on the possibility that actually us vegans, we have food too. You don't need to eat undead pig or undead sheep or undead cow or any other dead things from the animal kingdom. And the reason you don't need to eat all those things is because there's plenty of vegan options. Yeah, so now I'm gonna do my toast up. I'm gonna stick some of this lovely vegan flora on it. There are other vegan butters. Here's one for an example. I'm going to do my toast up. I'm going to stick some lovely flora butter on it. I'm going to stick my beans, my sausages, my garlicky mushrooms, which are pretty much done now. And I'm going to probably whack on a little bit. Oh, I've got to show you this one. You'll like this. Not a lot, but you'll like it. The one thing that goes with every single breakfast, no matter how you eat it, and I would have loved to have done some soft tofu and made an egg scramble for you. Maybe I'll do that one day for you, show you how that works. That's gorgeous. But this goes fantastically with any breakfast, especially with sausages. And that is mayonnaise. Yeah, obviously I've got a plant-based mayonnaise, only plant-based vegan mayo. This stuff is gorgeous and it is spot on replica for proper mayo. I hate to say this because, well, when I used to eat meat or meat or animal-based products, Hellmann's mayonnaise was the top level. I think most people would probably reasonably agree with that. Hellmann's did a fantastic job at making a vegan mayonnaise. They nailed it. They really did. Hellmann's made a fantastic vegan mayonnaise, and I thank Hellmann's for that. It's amazing. But I'm sorry, Hellmann's, you have been beat. These are better. So please, if you're vegan and you miss mayonnaise, trust me, find this. Look it up on the old www.somethingrother.com. Find it, buy it, try it. You will love it. So, bread's about to be turned into toast. Sausages are about done. Mushrooms are about done. Beans are about done. Mayonnaise is ready to go. I'm going to have breakfast. You're going to have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Me good old Deerios and Carly Wobbles.